Hello everyone, welcome back to Money Pulsar. Let me start with something very normal. You download a learning app to improve your skills. You open a fitness app to track your steps. You watch videos on a cooking app to try new recipes. Most of these apps don't charge you, so a simple question naturally comes up. If I'm not paying money, how are these companies earning so much? In today's video, I'll explain this step by step using everyday examples so you can clearly understand how modern digital businesses make money. Stay till the end, because once you see the full picture, free apps will make a lot more sense to you. Let's get started. Ever wonder what your phone really knows about you? It's probably not what you think. We're all a bit cautious about sharing our name, email, or location with apps, right? But the real story? The one that's shaping your digital world isn't in what you type, it's in what you do. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you're using a learning app to pick up a new skill. You'll open it up, scroll through a few topics, and start watching a video about, say, graphic design. You watch for 10 minutes, but then you get distracted and close the app. Later that evening, you remember it and open the app again to finish the video. Now, think about what just happened. You didn't enter your name. You didn't type a single search query. You didn't share it with friends. All you did was watch, pause, and return. But for the app, that's a goldmine of information. From that simple interaction, the app's algorithm has already learned several key things about you. First, it knows you're interested in graphic design. Out of all the topics available, that's the one that caught your eye. Second, it knows your attention span for this specific content. Maybe you consistently watch for about 10 minutes before taking a break. Third, it now has a clue about when you like to learn. You started in the afternoon and came back in the evening. This isn't about your personal identity. It's about your behavior, your patterns. This same principle applies everywhere. Think about your fitness app. It's not just counting your steps. It's learning if you're a morning runner or an evening walker. It knows your most active days of the week and how consistent you are with your goals. All of this helps the app suggest routines you're more likely to complete. Or how about a cooking app? You'll browse through dozens of recipes. You save a few for later. You keep going back to that one specific pasta recipe. The app notices this. It learns you prefer Italian food, that you might be looking for quick 30-minute meals, and which ingredients you probably have in your kitchen. So, the next time you open the app, what do you see on the front page? More delicious, quick Italian recipes. It feels like magic, but it's just data. What really surprised me when I started looking into this is how these tiny, seemingly insignificant actions build up over time. Every tap, every scroll, every pause is a tiny breadcrumb that helps build a profile of your habits and preferences. The system isn't trying to figure out who you are as a person. It's trying to understand what you, as a user, want to see next. This is the invisible engine that powers our personalized digital experiences. It's why your video feed seems to read your mind, and your music app knows exactly what you want to hear. It's a constant, silent conversation between you and the technology you use every day. It's a fascinating world happening right beneath the surface of our screens. So, you've heard all the scary stories about companies selling your data, right? It sounds like some shadowy figure in a trench coat is trading your name and secrets for a briefcase full of cash. But what if I told you the real story is a lot less dramatic and actually kind of fascinating? Let's break it down. Imagine you're using an online learning app. You pause a video on a particularly tricky math problem. On its own, that action is just a tiny, insignificant blip of data. It doesn't tell anyone anything important about you. Who cares if one person paused one video one time? It's completely anonymous and meaningless. Now, this is where it gets interesting. What happens when it's not just you? What if thousands of other students all press pause at the exact same spot in that exact same math lesson? Suddenly, it's not just a blip anymore. It's a pattern. This pattern is a giant, flashing sign for the app creators. It tells them, hey, this part of the lesson is confusing. People are struggling right here. This isn't just for learning apps. Think about a fitness app. If thousands of users are constantly replaying the instructions for a specific yoga pose, that's a pattern. It signals that the instructions might be unclear or the pose is particularly difficult. Or consider a recipe app. If a certain type of pasta dish suddenly becomes the most saved recipe every single weekend, that's a powerful trend. This is what businesses are actually interested in. They're not looking for your name or your address. They're looking for these large-scale patterns in anonymous data. Why? Because patterns are incredibly valuable. They are the key to making things better. For the Learning app, that pattern helps them identify a weak spot in their content. They can now go back and re-record that math lesson, making it clearer and easier to understand. For the Fitness app, they can create a more detailed tutorial for that tricky yoga pose. And for the Recipe app, they might decide to feature more pasta dishes or create a special weekend cooking guide. Patterns help businesses improve their content, design better products, and ultimately figure out what people like you and me actually want and need. It's about making smarter decisions. So, when people talk about data being valuable, this is the system they're talking about. It's not about selling your personal secrets. It's about understanding collective behavior to create better experiences for everyone. The value doesn't come from your individual identity. It comes from the power of the crowd. It's a different way to think about our digital footprints, isn't it? It is less about individual privacy and more about the collective wisdom that emerges from all of us just going about our digital lives. Have you ever wondered how your favorite apps, the ones you use every single day for free, actually make money? Is it some kind of magic? Or is there a catch? Let's break it down, because it's a lot simpler and maybe a little less scary than you think. The short answer is businesses. But how does that work? Let's follow the money trail. It all starts with you and me. The users, we download and use these amazing free apps, right? Whether it's for scrolling through funny videos, connecting with friends, or getting directions. As we use these apps, they start to understand our behavior patterns. Now, don't panic. It's not about knowing your deepest, darkest secrets. It's more about general interests. It's about identifying what you like, what you engage with. This is where the second piece of the puzzle comes in. Businesses. Think about it. Every business, big or small, has something to sell. A local nursery wants to sell plants. A new Italian restaurant wants to fill its tables. And a sports merchandise store wants to sell jerseys. Their biggest challenge is finding the right people who would actually be interested in what they offer. It is incredibly expensive and inefficient for that nursery to advertise to someone who lives in a tiny apartment with no balcony and has never shown any interest in plants. They want to reach people who are likely to become customers. And that brings us to the third and final piece, the platforms themselves. The apps. These apps act as a bridge. They have a community of users with diverse interests, and they have businesses looking for specific audiences. The platform's job is to connect them efficiently. So, the platform goes to the gardening store and says, "Hey, we have a bunch of users who have shown a real interest in gardening. We can show your ads to them." So, the money flows from the businesses through the platform to keep the service running. That's why you get to use so many amazing services without ever paying a dime. The businesses are the ones footing the bill. They pay for the opportunity to reach a relevant audience. Now, here's the key point that a lot of people get wrong. They say, if the product is free, you are the product. I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's not entirely accurate. The app isn't bundling you up and selling you to the highest bidder. Let's think about what that means. Before the internet, if that gardening store wanted to advertise, they might buy a billboard, run a TV commercial, or put an ad in a newspaper. They'd be paying to show their ad to thousands of people, but maybe only a tiny fraction of them were actually interested in gardening. A lot of that money was just wasted. Today, platforms offer a much more efficient way to do it. They allow that store to spend its advertising budget reaching people who are genuinely interested. This efficiency saves the business a ton of money. And when a business saves money, what does that save money become? Profit. Businesses are always looking for ways to be more profitable, and targeted advertising is a powerful tool for that. So, you're not the product. Your attention is what's valuable. But the service being sold is the efficient delivery of a business's message to the right people. It's a system where businesses get more effective advertising. The platforms get the revenue to keep operating and improving. And we, the users, get to enjoy incredible technology and services for free. It's a three-way street that, when you think about it, powers a huge part of the digital world we live in today. Pretty cool, right? So, why does this whole system feel so confusing and invisible? It's pretty simple. Really, you never get a bill in the mail for using these apps. There's no payment screen that pops up asking for your credit card. Everything just runs quietly in the background, making it feel like magic. Think about how things used to work. The old system was straightforward. You pay money, you get a product. Simple. But the system we're in now is different. It's more like you give your attention, you get a service. Now, it's important to know that neither of these systems is inherently good or bad. They're just different ways of operating. The key is that once you understand how it works, the confusion starts to disappear. You see the mechanics behind the curtain. So what does all this mean for you, personally? Let's be clear. This video is on some preachy message telling you to delete all your apps and go live in a cabin in the woods. That's not practical for most of us. The real practical takeaway here is awareness. It's about being conscious of the system you're participating in. When you understand why certain content keeps repeating in your feed, or why an app keeps suggesting things that are eerily similar to what you just watched, or how a trend can explode seemingly overnight, you stop feeling confused. You stop feeling like you're just being manipulated by some mysterious force. Instead, you start using technology more consciously, more intentionally. In my view, understanding the system is way more powerful than just worrying about it. It puts you back in the driver's seat. It's not always about charging you directly. Many modern companies, especially in the tech world, generate revenue in a much smarter way. They analyze user behavior, identify patterns, and then sell these valuable insights to other businesses. Think about it. Knowing what thousands of people are interested in helps companies create better products and more effective marketing. So, instead of selling you a product, they're selling intelligence. Once you get this, the whole digital economy starts to make a lot more sense, right? If this helped you see things a little clearer, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Money Pulsar. Let's start your financial journey together.